Okay, so again, we left off on the certification test prep question here on Chapter 5, Bank Reconciliation. Okay. So again, how do you do a bank reconciliation? How do you do a bank reconciliation? Anybody?
You do the reconciliation of your bank account by you match it to the bank statements,
Uh-huh.
and you can do that for your credit card and other accounts.
Correct. Okay, so how do I actually get that started?
Oh, you mean on the system on the QuickBooks?
Yes, correct.
You can either do it from the homepage or you can do it from the banking.
Okay, so yes, we have reconcile right here, and we also have that on the banking menu. Okay, banking menu, reconcile. Okay, all right. So here we go. As a bank reconciliation, compares the bank account to the or actually checking account, excuse me, to a now. Okay, so in this case, you have to make sure that you know that a bank you don't need to necessarily reconcile just a bank, right? You could do a credit card. You could do any account that has a register. So any you can reconcile any account that has a register. Okay, so that means all your permanent accounts, meaning your assets, your current assets, your fixed assets, your liabilities, and your equity are all accounts that you can reconcile. But yes, Maria is correct. More common ones that you would normally see would be your bank reconciliation or a credit card reconciliation, just because you guys get like at the end of the month, you should receive a statement of your activity. So that's an easy way for you to be able to keep track of it that way. All right, now how? She says home page, and then you can click reconcile, or you can go or banking menu and reconcile. Now, as far in regards to what the steps and what the windows are, in regards to reconciling your window or reconciling the bank or credit card, you must know how to do that on your own. And what happens if you find discrepancies, right? You would have to run a locate discrepancy report and etc. etc. So make sure you know the ins and outs on how to do a reconciliation, because that is definitely one of the most important things that you should do as a business, right? To ensure the accuracy of your accounting, but to also make sure that you're keeping a good track record of your own records, okay, your own transactions. All right, so next section here is going to be payroll, which is 12% of the exam, which is approximately 6%. So here, payroll is a huge, huge piece in this entire exam. Okay, it's about 12%. So let's take a look at what you need to know. A student should know, okay, in Chapter 10, payroll setup. It says here the difference between the payroll services available from QuickBooks. What are they? What are the paid subscriptions that Intuit offers for QuickBooks?
You have basic, enhanced, and assisted.
Basic, enhanced, and assisted. Good. All right. So again, make sure you know the ins and outs of it and what you can do with that. So again, if you go back to the video that I posted in for chapter 11, I did go over your options in regards to the basic, enhanced, and assisted. But your book also tells you a little more detail if you go onto the Intuit website and look up what's called payroll services. And you'll be able to find a lot more information on every single one. Now, just know that enhanced and assisted allows you to file forms. Where basic, you can only do the very basic, which is to pay your employees and pay liabilities. So exhaust those options, okay, and make sure you know what each one offers. How to set up payroll using the payroll setup interview. Okay, so in this case, setting up compensations, benefits, and deductions. So again, you need to know, what do you offer your employees? So if you remember, there is, I believe there's a 10-step thing in order for you to set up your payroll. All right. So again, yes, there's 10 steps that you need to know in regards to that before setting up payroll. I don't know what page that is, but I just know that it is, I'm going to go over page something, which is the 10 steps to set up payroll.
It's page 370.
370. Thank you. Page 370. Okay, that gives you all the steps that you need to have. But as much as I've said, this one is missing step 0, which is even considering the fact that you are going to have employees, right? How are you going to pay them? What benefits are you going to provide for them? Because in order for you to successfully go through the payroll setup interview, you need to know what you're going to offer your employees. That should be step 0, okay? However, making sure you know how to set up compensations, benefits, and deductions, right? You also need to know how to set up employees, right? You will be needing W-4s, right? As well as social security cards. Slash green card or temporary work card for visa, right? If you have a visiting person that's coming to school, you need to have proof so then they can work. It's called a work visa. You also need to have a birth certificate, or what do you call it? Not a birth certificate. You need to have their identification or driver license. Or license, because you need to make sure that they are legal of age, they have the correct address, that you're correctly putting into the system so they can file for proper taxes. You need to also make sure that, yes, the W-4 form should pretty much give you a bunch of details, such as how many withholdings they want to withhold, right? So you need to make sure you have all of those information to help set up your employee. You also need to figure out, right? How often are you going to pay your employees, right? You need to figure out per compensation for each employee with pay period / frequency. Like how often are you going to pay them? Okay. All right. And then also setting up federal and state taxes. So again, figuring out FITW, all right, with social security and Medicare, right? You need to make sure you know what these are and making sure that you know the correct agencies to pay to, okay? Okay, for the state, it depends on what state that you live in, but we live in the state of Nevada, so in this case, no, we don't need to pay taxes, but also know that, okay, when setting up your company with an address will automatically pull up state / city taxes. Okay. Okay. And then how to set up sick and vacation time, right? That's if you offer it, but making sure that you understand how to do that. You need to set numbers of hours that a individual can have and whether you do use that or not. And how to keep track of sick and vacation pay. That's by using the payroll items, right? And you need to know how to use the timesheets, okay? Payroll items on timesheets, right? How and why to set up payroll schedules, okay? So once again, why is it important? Let's talk about why. Why is it important to set up payroll schedules?
So that you can pay your employees on time and
Good.
remind yourself.
Pay employees. What's so specific about using this? If everybody's going to be on one payroll system, why do you need to be able to do that?
Why? Repeat that again, Lynn.
So in this case, right? Why would you use a payroll scheduler? What's the
Oh,
significance of using the payroll scheduler? Yes, it is to pay the employees, but why is it used?
Is it to have them all in the same schedule? To add them all?
No, okay,
Okay.
so you're treading on the right term. So in this case, it's mostly used for scheduling employees with different pay schedules.
oh, okay.
Yeah, so like they recommend you to use it if someone is on a salary and you pay them on the 15th and 30th, but you have hourly workers that are being paid on every two weeks. That's what you have to do. You use a payroll scheduler to, yes, you're correct, to pay your employees on time, to remind yourself, hey, you owe this person money because they are on a bi-weekly schedule, while your salary workers are on a semi-monthly schedule where you have to pay them on the 15th and on the 30th. So that's the primary use of why you would use a payroll scheduler and how. would be when you are on their employee profile. Okay. There's a section for the payroll scheduler, and you use the calendars to select a date of when the next payment is due. Okay. Okay. All right. Using employee defaults to help set up each employee's earnings and weight and things like that. So what was okay? Let's talk about how to set employee, and then we'll talk about the why it's useful. Okay. So first, how do we set employee defaults?
Okay, can you repeat that one more time? Is it to manage the employee's information?
Yes, but I'm asking you how, like on QuickBooks, how do you set employee defaults?
Click Manage Employee Information button in the toolbar and select the Change New Employee Default Setting command.
Okay, so where do you need to be in order to locate that?
I would go to where do you? Oh, to the payroll section.
Not the payroll section.
The number 3 box, and let me see. Pay employees. No, you want to know about the defaults. Select Change New Employee Default Setting command. Enter the default information and click OK.
Right, but how do you get to that window?
I don't know. You just
Well, who are we dealing with?
where your little hand is that it? Pay employees.
No, no. Okay, so if we're dealing with employees defaults, right?
Mm-hmm.
What section is going to be involving all your employees?
Your payroll employee section, where you are, where your little hand is.
Is it
Mm,
employees on the menu bar? Employees.
employee, what do you call this?
Where it says employees. Oh,
Employees center.
that's the icon bar.
Not the
No.
icon bar, the employee center.
Okay.
All right, at the very top, manage employees, change
Yeah.
or set defaults. Good. Okay.
Okay. All right.
All right, so you need to know exactly where to go in regards to this. You got the step 2, step 3, but you don't know where. But step 1 wasn't there, so you have to be very specific, because if you are asked this question as a navigation question,
Mm-hmm.
and I just ask you where to go exactly, and you didn't know where to go, but you knew to go to the manage employees to change the default settings. So you need to go into the employee center first, right? That's the only
Right.
place that you're able to locate this manage employees.
Okay.
Okay. So there we go. So how you need to get to the employee center. Okay, and then you're gonna click manage employees, and then oops, change default settings. Okay, so yeah, so make sure you guys are in that window so you know exactly how to do it. Now, why is it so important? Why is it so important to use employee defaults?
so that each time that you add a new employee, you don't have to change you don't have to enter the same information.
Correct, right? It helps save time to enter. The keyword here is new employees. Okay, so anybody that's pre-existing already in your employee center, you can't apply employee default. So make sure that you know that, right? To save time to enter new employee information by making set changes, or I guess to make by setting payroll items, deductions, benefits, sick vacation pay, pay frequency, etc., right? Now, I'm going to put a note right here because, like I mentioned before, you can only apply employee defaults to new employees. Okay. All right, chapter 11, how to run payroll. Well, how do you run payroll? It is a straightforward question. How do you run payroll?
You have to be more specific. Are you asking how often or the steps to do it?
In this case, like I said, it's a very straightforward question. How do you get payroll started? How do you initiate that you're gonna pay you're gonna start the payroll process?
Do you use the payroll center?
Okay, that's a good one. So you can use the payroll center, but what are the options when you use the payroll center?
Pay employees.
There you go. Straightforward, right? To get the payroll process to start and running, you simply just click pay your employees, because that's essentially what payroll is, right? In order the payroll, the whole entire you know, idea of payroll services or to process payroll is to ultimately just pay your employees, right? And it doesn't matter when, okay? It's just getting it started. How do you run payroll? You simply just click on pay employees, okay? So I'm going to put in parentheses either if you have a paid service, right? You can go to payroll center. But if not, and you have and it's manual, then you simply just go click on pay employees. Right? Now, when you run payroll, right, on this, right, let me see. When you initiate the payroll services or payroll process, right, it's pretty straightforward, right? We understand that you just click on pay employees and you have the scheduled people that you're going to make payments to, and all you have to do is just verify. So I'm going to write here, verify the time slash payment is correct. as well as the benefits slash deductions slash fed and state taxes are there, are correct. All right. Okay. All right. How and why to pay your liabilities. Let's talk about why first, and then we'll talk about how. So, why is it so important to pay your payroll liabilities?
To keep your credit up and stay in good standing
With who?
with your creditors.
Who's your creditors?
Wait a minute. How and why to pay payroll liabilities. And so you're saying who are your creditors?
That's what you said. Good standing with your creditors. Who are these
Well,
creditors?
not your creditors, with your employees.
Not employees. What does your employees have to do with paying liabilities?
Their benefits, like their taxes, and so you want to make sure that those are paid out, right?
Yes. But who are you making payments to?
You making payments to your employees?
You pay your employees liabilities?
No.
To the government, to the
To
state.
correct. And okay, so why it I'm going to go ahead and write this. It is your responsibility to pay the government their money. Okay? Most important. And if you miss out on a payment, they will fine you heavily on these. If you miss a payroll liability payment, because again, federal and state, it's an obligation, right? It's your means of making sure that you're paying the portion of the employee's responsibility for working there, but it's also your responsibility to ensure that you make payments to protect your employees as well. And in this case, it's also the government's duty to collect this money from you, okay? Because it helps keep society from flowing, right? You need money into the federal government in order for the federal government to provide everything else for the work for society, right? So again, it is a responsibility. Okay. Now, there's more to it for the why. Why is it so important to pay payroll liabilities? Because again, you owe the government. They want their money. Okay.
So, excuse me, but every 2 weeks or 1 week or monthly or semi whatever, when you pay your employees, and you're verifying the time payment in correct, as well as the benefits, deductions, all that. You're verifying that. So then you're doing that already. And when you get to the how and the why, pay the liabilities,
Oh.
you're already verifying that so that they can get the correct amounts and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So then you double verify when you said the why. Isn't that what you're doing in the first part when you run it?
So in the first part is making sure that the employee's information is correct in order to properly tax them, right? If an employee underworks and you pay them too much, then you're paying too much tax. That's not
That-
that's not
That's what you're
technically
verifying when you run the payroll.
right.
Okay.
And in this case, why is it so important for you to pay your liabilities? That's the question I'm asking. Why is it important to pay payroll liabilities?
So you want to know why is it important for the government to get their payments by
Yeah.
the end of the year or annually, or however the company is doing it?
Yes.
Why is it important for them to do that? That's the question.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Now let's talk about the how. Okay, how do you pay payroll liabilities?
How do you process it in QuickBooks,
Mm-hmm.
in the payroll, in the payroll center?
You could do it in the payroll center. How else can you pay payroll liabilities if you don't have a paid service?
Wouldn't you pay at the end of the year when your taxes are being done?
Right, but how do you initiate that? How do you know how much to pay? How do you know what to pay? Who to pay? When to pay?
I don't know. You got me on that one, man.
I'm making sure that you guys understand that QuickBooks will be asking you that exact question too, because you need to look at a question and make sure that you exhaust every means of the interpreting that question, because they could trick you on the exam. Okay, I'm not the one that's administering it, but this is this is being certified. You need to be a master at this program, and if you don't know, or you know some parts, you're not going to do well on the certification exam. You need to be a master. So think about it. I'm asking you all these questions. Why this, why that, how this, how that, because you need to exhaust every single possible answer that could be asked. Okay, or question that could be asked, right? So in this case, so if I could use the payroll center to pay my liabilities, how else can I pay my liabilities if I'm not using a payroll service?
So we need to know every in and out, exhaust every angle as the way it can be done and how it's done in order to achieve the right answer, right?
Correct.
Okay, got it.
So again, payroll center is only if you paid a paid service. But in this case, what if you haven't paid into a payroll service? How do you pay your liabilities then?
Would you just do pay bill vendor center?
Not pay bills under vendor center, no. They recommend you not to use that.
So one of the options would be the pay liability icon on the home
Correct. Or
and
if you go up
or
to the
the
top, employees and pay liabilities. So right here, it's very important that you do use the pay liabilities, because it will automatically be able to produce the check for you without you having to do it yourself. So in this case, so let me see if I'll be able to do it. I might have to turn it on. Did anything happen?
No, I didn't see anything. Oh, there it goes.
Okay, so once you get here, you have two things that are expected to be paid. Now, if I go ahead and click this, just one of them for the example, and I go ahead and click continue, it's gonna automatically create a check for you to be able to okay. So you could either print the I just processed paycheck. My bad. So let me go ahead and exit out of this window. Close. So I want to pay liabilities. So if I click pay liabilities, right, you're gonna get this window here saying what default place are you taking this money out from? I'm taking out from my checking. I click OK. It's going to automatically create a check that looks like this for you. Now in this case, I don't owe any government any money. And if you remember from the lesson on Monday, right? If I use the pay liabilities window, it will appear on my checking account exactly that I made a payment to payroll liabilities, payroll taxes. So that's why they recommend you to use this, because that way you're not creating a double bill. Okay, because if you use the enter bills, right, you're creating a double bill, right? We already have a liability already on set going, and if you use the bill enter bills window, you're creating another liability that you already have. Okay, then they also recommend you not to ever use the write checks window, because when you're making a payment to the government, you can't just pay half of it and call it a day. They're going to expect you to pay all of it because it's your responsibility. Okay, so there's no such thing as half payments to the government. I'm sorry. So in this case, when QuickBooks actually keeps track of all of the liabilities that you collected over the pay process, right? Depending on how big your company is, how many employees that you have, and how much you owe, right? That will determine, do you need to pay every week, every month, every quarter, or even at the end of the year. So again, for example, a small business that only has one employee, you can get away with just paying at the end of the year. Where if it's like a major corporation such as Walmart, who has billions and billions of employees, you can expect that they might get away with just paying at the end of the month, or they might have to pay every 2 weeks. So in the book, in the actual book, it does tell you that for major corporations like that, or on the 940 form, it tells you that for payroll processes with those large companies, right, the week that they pay their employees, let's say they're bi-weekly, the week that they pay their employees will be the week that they pay in their employees. And the following week, which is the week after, where they don't pay their employees, they must pay their liabilities. All right? Because think about it. A $1 billion company is going to collect $1 billion in federal taxes. And what does the government want to get? They want to get their money. So they target the corporations quicker than for a small business like me who only has one employee. Why would they want to go after $20? Right? They'd rather go for a huge lump sum money. So that's that little tangent right there about payroll liabilities. Okay. And let's see. Excuse me. Ooh, excuse me. So once again, when we're dealing with payroll liabilities, how do you pay them? You can either use the payroll center if you have a paid service. But if you do not have payroll service, you would manually select pay liabilities on the home page. Or employee menu. Man, I'm not typing good today. Employee.
Allergies.
And my allergies, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Employee menu. Okay. So again, it's in this case, right, you need to know ins and outs of how, even if you have both or not, because according to QuickBooks, Chapter 10 was to set up for manual payroll, but I went ahead and extended from the book to show you how to set that up, okay? And then how to prepare payroll forms, okay? So in this case, your book tells you how to do that, but again, your 940 and your 941 and 943, right? That's going to be your federal taxes, okay? So again, make sure you understand at least the basics of how to fill it out. What QuickBooks does for you actually automatically is because it's keeping track of all your payroll information, and it also keeps track of all the payments that you've made, then it makes it that much easier to file for your 940 and 941, 943 federal taxes, because again, you can simply just go to the irs.gov and be able to fill this out, but QuickBooks makes it that much easier to fill it out. But unfortunately, you would actually have to pay a payroll service to be able to fill those forms out on QuickBooks, right? So you do need to have the enhanced or assisted payroll service to be able to do that. If not, you would have to manually do it by seeking a professional tax accountant and being able to help you process this on using QuickBooks, of course, and so on and so forth. So again, make sure you understand what these forms are. These forms are to make your payments to the federal government, but also to keep track of how much money that you collected, how many money you paid, etc., etc. Yes. Question.
Yeah, so you're saying that you can't prepare the taxes without the QuickBook program
To file forms,
to file the, yeah,
you
they would use an accountant, right?
yes. So if you do not pay the payroll services, you would have to seek a professional tax accountant to help you fill out the 940, 941, and 943. But you can use QuickBooks to bring it to your tax accountant and be like, well, here's my payroll information. Okay?
Okay.
And then they'll be able to process it for you. But no, unfortunately, yes, you do need to pay a payroll service for QuickBooks to automatically file these forms for you and help you fill it out.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, because if you remember, every time I click file forms, it will always give me that error message saying, we do not, the QuickBooks cannot be able to do this for us because we need a paid service to do it for us.
And that's where your services come in to get paid.
Yes.
If you're in that field.
Yes. Correct.
Got it.
Tax accountants.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, got it.
All right, and then of course, chapter 9, time and billing, how to track time and use it for payroll or invoicing customers. So let's talk about in this case, it's straightforward, right? You use the enter time, okay, whether it's on your home page or whether it's on your employees. Enter time, and you're going to fill out a timesheet accordingly with the appropriate payroll items. Okay. Make sure you understand what payroll items are. So in this case, let me go back up here where it says know how to set up your compensations and stuff. These essentially, when you create those compensations, those benefits, and those deductions, those are essentially become your payroll items. Okay, so if you remember in chapter 10, I showed you what payroll items look like. So I'll go ahead and show you right now. You have to go to list, okay? And you have to, I'm on view. You go to list and you click on payroll items, okay? So payroll items list. When you click that, it gives you a list of all your pensions, all your compensations, your benefits, sick pay, vacation pay, all your federal taxes, all your state taxes, and so on and so forth. So these are what you need to use in order to create your payroll itself. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and make that a note here. How do I get to payroll items? You go to list, payroll items, list. You would have to go to list menu. And then click payroll items list. Okay. All right, right? So making sure that you are aware that everything that you do with payroll, it's going to be on the payroll items list, okay? It's not going to be on the regular items list because that, once again, is for just for your sales process, okay? So right here, enter time in, fill out timesheet according with the appropriate, oh my, appropriate, whoop, appropriate, R, okay, appropriate, payroll tax items, or payroll items itself.
There it is.
There it is. Okay, so
Yeah.
appropriate items, right? Appropriate payroll items. So setting up your compensations if they whether they did this or that, and basically, like I've mentioned before, QuickBooks is smart. You don't need to use the timesheet to transfer the information over. You just set your payroll period, and it will automatically transfer the information into the the payment for the employees, right? You don't need to manually transfer that information over. You just enter it in, and when you pay the individual, the employee, it should do it for you automatically. Okay? So make sure you know how to be able to use a timesheet, right? And this also includes, right, printing paychecks, printing timesheets. Okay, know how to do that. Which also in this case, you should be able to know how to print out. I'm going to go ahead and add that in there. Print out pay checks and pay stubs. Okay, that's very important that you know how to do. Okay. And yes, so on and so forth. Look at print out pay timesheets. Okay. All right. So that was the whole section on payroll. Okay, so it is a huge section, so make sure that you do go through the ins and outs of payroll, right? It's split into two sections, and again, it's actually an easy read. You just have to make sure that you go through the details because I did skip around a few things on those two chapters. Okay. All right, the largest section in QuickBooks exam is going to be reports, because reports is very important, but like I've mentioned before, it just depends on what report you're being asked. So in this case, it's 60% of the exam, which is approximately 8 questions. So the student should know reports, okay? Why and how to use the report center. So let's go ahead and talk about why, okay? Why is it so important to run reports? And then we'll talk about how. Okay? Why is it so important to create reports in general? What is the purpose of creating reports?
So that you can keep up to date on how the business is being ran on a daily basis, monthly basis, hourly basis.
Okay.
It'll help you keep up with how your company is producing or being productive.
Okay, keeping a track record of how the business is doing. Okay, that's part of a question, a part of the answer. What else? Why is it also important to be able to run reports? Why even have a report to begin with?
So you can see certain information about the company.
Exactly. Good. To view certain information about the company. That is correct, right? It is in regards to if you're in that position, what specific question do you want to know about the company, right? Do I want to know about sales? Am I doing good in this sales, right? If I have classes, is my sales high in my San Jose location? What are my expenses, right? How much money am I spending in order to operate my store? Okay. What other things I can have information is how many customers owe me money. All right. Okay. Or how much money do I owe my vendors? All right. How many bills are unpaid? How often do I pay my bills? Okay. The list can go on and on and on and on and on. Okay. I want to set up a contact list so I can send mailing information to my customers. That's not really asking a question, but it is also asking a question too, is who are my customers? Who can I mail flyers to, marketing materials to? Okay. Who can I contact to purchase this particular item? Okay. So it's going to be answering a specific question that you have about your company. All right. It's not just about how your company is doing, right? That's why I said that was part of the answer. But in this case, right, to elaborate, because can you tell how your business is doing by looking up a list of your customer contact information? Not really. So that's why in this case that was to elaborate to get a full answer in this one is what specific question do you have that you want to learn about your company? All right. And then, like I mentioned before, right, reports are very subjective, right? It just depends on what position you are in the company, right? Would a tax accountant want to know anything that has to do with sales? No. They would probably want to know about the sales tax, yes, but anything that has to do with sales, they wouldn't care, right? Same thing with a payroll, right? If they are the HR, do they care about who you owe in your vendors? No, they don't, because at the end of the day, you need to make sure that you have money in the bank to just pay the employees. That's the most important thing. So again, it's just running reports is the idea of it is behind it is to ask a specific question, a certain question that you're picking out specific answers for. And that's what reports do. All right. And I'm going to make sure I put here that reports are help or useful to answer questions depending on the position you presenting on the position you have in the company. Okay. Now, how do I use the report center? Let's talk about how it looks, and then we can talk about navigating. How does my report center look? How does my report center look? Anybody?
I chose samples of the different reports.
Good. Samples of what the different reports are, right? Depending on what view you have it, right? There's more to that. What else can you do on the report center?
You can memorize tax reports. You can change the different views.
Good. You can memorize reports. You can favorite your reports. You can create your own report. You can or use a standard report, right? And that's pretty much what you can do there. So navigating, right, is going to be it's pretty straightforward, right? You just run the report, but how it looks, okay, again, I'll put how it looks, right? You have a overview of all reports with sample images, okay, of each report. Okay, you can use a standard, or in this case, already made report. You can customize a report and memorize a report. Okay. You can create graphs in reports. Okay. Now, navigation wise, pretty straightforward, right? How do you do this? Straightforward, right? You just run the report. Okay. You run the report, and then of course, if you're talking about customizing, run the report and customize using the options at the top of the report window. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Well, let's go ahead and take a look at an example here, right? If I just go ahead and run this report, how do I use it? Well, straightforward, right? I can customize it saying, well, right now it's only showing me this month because I'm looking at this fiscal year. What if I want all the information, right? What if I want to export this to Excel? What if I want to send this to a PDF? What if I want to customize it so that I'm able to look at specific details, right? And if you look at the customization, right, what are the options that I can do to actually customize the actual report itself, right? I could show what I can display. I can show what I want. I can change the headers and footers. I can change the font and sizes to tailor it to my company, right? So those are the options that you can do there too. So again, make sure you understand how to be able to run a report properly, how to customize it, how to do whatever it is, and memorize it as well, right? If I want to memorize this report so then I can run it again in the future, I'd be able to do that option too. So again, make sure if you're not very clear about this, go ahead and take a look at chapter 6 in your book, and you'll be able to get a good overview of that.
Can you also do the cash instead of the accrual?
Correct. Yes, you can. So at the top of the window here, you have the option. Do you want accrual or
Yeah,
cash basis? So then that's part of customizing it. Yes.
it'll change it up for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Good. So, yep, make sure you know how to do that. Okay. Okay. So then let's see how it looks like. We just talked about that. How to navigate it. You would run the report and then change the options in the window, okay? So next question is, what are the two different types of reports? So it's going to be the accounting reports and business management. Now, what are accounting reports? What do they do?
Which are taxes,
What kind of taxes?
your business taxes?
Mm,
Don't they prepare your taxes?
okay.
The accounting report, it involves with the tax part of the business, right?
Yes and no. It depends on what report you're running.
So you're running the accounting report, right?
my question is, what are accounting reports? Yes?
Oh, no. I just wanted to. So are we talking about like the main reports, like the profit and loss,
Okay,
balance sheet?
those are examples. Okay, good. So examples would be profit and loss.
Oh, okay. That's
Okay.
what you're looking for.
Uh-huh. So profit and loss. Okay. What else?
Or the balance sheet,
You got the balance sheet,
the cash flow.
cash flow. What else? You got your trial balance. You have
General ledger.
your general ledger, and there's more beyond that. Okay, so again, the best way to be able to find these, okay, are usually typical under the categories of. So what I meant by categories is when you go to the reports, right, it's broken up into categories or topics, right? So to find your accounting categories, it would be either under company and financials, or um, or accounting and taxes. Okay. Now the question here that I was asking earlier is, what is an accounting report? How is that different from a business management report? So in this case, what determines an accounting report? We know what they are and how. I mean, we know what examples are, but what is an accounting report?
A breakdown of all the things that are in your list,
What list?
your earnings items, your all
Mm-mm.
your different items.
Not items.
Breakdown of no.
No.
Um, hmm.
So is it a
Include
summary
taxes,
of
federal
your
taxes, calculated items. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Maria.
no, is it a summary of like just a time frame for the balance sheet? It's probably a year, but for other statements it can be less
Okay.
time.
Yes, but you can also do that for business management. Now, what makes this one different from a business management report?
This one is usually given to if there's investors, or
Okay, not necessarily to who, because you can use both of them for both internal and external users. All right. So since you guys are really missing this, um, Kim, you are very close. Now, what specific list am I talking about? It's going to be your chart of accounts. It's
Oh, okay.
anything that has to do with accounts. Okay, so anything that you have to do with an account. Okay, time frames for the chart of accounts. And I spelled chart of accounts wrong. Okay. So anything that has to do with just accounts is going to be your accounting reports. Now let's talk about the difference between that and a business management. What is so? Oh, well, we'll talk about what a business management report is. So, what is a business management report, or what I guess, yeah. What is a business management report?
That include everything that's pertaining to your business done individually in a report, like your company payroll, your employee payroll, all your liabilities. Would it be like that?
You're treading on the right track,
Business
pertaining.
management reports. The business management report covers everything pertaining to the business,
Good.
and then the accounting management report pertains to everything financially pertaining to the business. Is that right?
Okay, yes. Yes. Now financially,
No.
you're if you understand it that way, that's correct. That's correct. Right? Now financially is where it's kind of a little wonky there because in this case, business management reports, right, are basically anything that's correct that's pertaining to your business or the company in regards to being able to manage your business. Okay. Now, how so? Let me elaborate. And a great example will be a sales report, right? You run a sales report, that means you can tell which items sell good and which items sell not as good, right? Another one would be your payroll information, like you just mentioned, right? How much expenses do I actually create for paying my employees, right?
And
What
what about
ways
like
can I
inventory?
decrease it? Inventory, correct. Inventory,
Okay.
good. Inventory items, right? Running a report on that. How I need to buy more inventory, right? Should I buy more inventory even though I don't sell the item that much? Would it benefit me? That kind of thing. So this is like these reports help you manage your business, okay? Think of it that way. Where your accounting reports basically tell you what it is. Tells you what it is. Where your business management allows you to take that information and either do something with it, such as I need to improve this, I need to improve my sales, what's my marketing, who am I marketing to? So anybody that has to do with, again, if in order to increase my sales, I must be marketing more often or spending more money for marketing, so I can do a customer list, customers list, because then I can take a look at my customers list. How can I pull in more customers so I can make more money, right? How can I, or in this case, if people owe me money, right? How can I reach out to them, give them more incentives for them to pay me back on time? Okay, so that's the difference between the two. Is one tells you like how it is, what it is right now, while the other one gives you a report that you can choose to modify, or in regards to your business management, how can you do better? How can you change this information? Okay, how can I manage my business, right? Do I need to manage my people? Do I manage my employees? Do I manage my expenses? Do I manage my items? Okay, so that's the difference here. Now, if you want a full, straight on definition, I would like you to go ahead and check that out. It should be not the first couple pages, but it should be about 10 pages into chapter 6. All right, it tells you the different types of reports, and it tells you in the box, gives you a definition of what those reports are. Okay. Now, okay, so then this is how to customize reports. Well, I pretty much gave you an overview on that, right? How do you customize your reports? What are the options that you can do? So here I go. I already listened to you. What do display options do? What do filters do? What do headers and footers do? Okay, and what does fonts do? So in this case, make sure you go through that and go through how to customize a report. Okay. And again, the basic questions that each report answers. So again, a profit and loss. What does okay, so let's go over a few examples. What does a profit and loss tell you?
Your net income, whether it's
Good.
been profitable or not.
Good, right? It tells you your net income, or whether this time frame, right? Because you can run a report rather every month, every week, every year, right? According to the time frame, this time frame Is your company profitable? Is it earning money? Okay. And then of course, I mean, we can go on and on about what kind of reports that you can do, but again, that's just an example of a profit and loss, right? So go through all of your reports because in every single chapter, right, we had a series of reports. So in this case, right, making sure that every single thing that is that's in the book. So going through your vendor account balances, what does that do to you? What answer does that question? What question can you answer using that report, right? The vendor balance just tells you how much you owe them, right? How much you owe them each and every single one. And then, of course, the aging accounts payable summary tells you how often you pay your vendors, right? Sales, once again, straightforward. How many items do you sell, right? Which items do you sell more often? Okay, so going through every single one, making sure that you understand what each report does and what questions and what answers does it answer the question. Okay. How and why to send reports to Excel. Why is that important?
Would that be like to have a backup?
Yes and no. You can do that.
You can modify, like change the name of a column or something on Excel, and you cannot do that on QuickBooks.
Correct. You can. I'm going to go ahead and write further modify or customize the report. Customize a report using Excel. Right? So if you guys remember when I made a graph, right? I can't modify the colors that it used. But if I export that to Excel, I can change it to make it reflect the colors that I want to choose. Because some of those are very bright colors. What if people have sensitive eyes? What if you want it very, muted colors? Then you can export it to Excel, and then with Excel too is you can even have the possibilities to break the graph apart. Again, that's higher level of Excel, but that's what you can do, right? All right. How to process multiple reports. Okay, let's talk about why first. Why would you want to process multiple reports?
So at the end of your accounting period, whether it be like the end of the month,
Uh-huh.
you can run the same reports at the same time.
Yeah, you exactly, right? Yeah, I can't even put that to words. To run a bunch of reports. Reports at the end of a given accounting period instead of running one at a time. You can view multiple reports at the same time. Okay.
Is it considered a batch?
Batch what?
Is to run the multiple reports, is that considered a batch?
You can create it as a batch, but then again, every time you run multiple reports, you can choose and select what kind of reports you want to actually create. So in this case, it's not necessarily a batch unless you're running the same reports over and over and over again. Then yes, that's a batch, right? Let's say you're doing your three financial statements, right? Your profit and loss, your cash flows and your balance sheet, right? You want to run all of those every single end of the accounting period, then yes, yes, you could do that as a batch. Okay. Now let's talk about how. How do you run multiple reports? Or how do you process multiple reports?
In the report center?
Report center, no.
No.
In the report, go down to process multiple report.
Correct. Process. Where is it? Where is it? Process. I don't think, wait, I thought it was at the top.
Like the fifth one in the top.
There you go. Yeah, process multiple reports. So again, you're going to get this window here where it's going to ask you, do you want to run all of them or do you want to select and choose which one? So in this case, you can't create a batch one where it allows you to be able to do that. You could select them based on category. What if I want to just do all accounting reports, all other reports? But no, you can't create a section for you to be able to run it. You would have to actually select one at a time. So if I want this, 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 and this, and this, right? And I click run, or in this case, display, it's gonna pop up every single one of them, okay? Boom, 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 okay? And again, you can also view the information the way that you want to as at the same time. So again, it's not necessarily a batch, but you can do that. So again, how, it's going to be on the reports menu. And what you're going to do is select okay. This question say how and why to send reports to Excel. We just answered that one. Okay, unless, let me see, what was the question before that? How and why to send reports to Excel. Well, we talked about why. How do we send reports to Excel?
When you open the report, it gives you the option at the top of the report.
Good. Open report at top of window. Select Excel. Perfect. Okay, let's see. So then this question, I'm going to go, okay, so this question says how to memorize reports. Okay, so let's talk about why, and then we'll talk about how, and then we're going to talk about where. Okay, so let's first go, why is it important to memorize reports?
So you don't have to customize them every single time you run them.
Exactly, right? Why? To save time on customizing a report over and over again, right? To create a custom report and save it for the future, right? So then you can run it again in the future, okay? Now, how do you memorize a report?
Click memorize button in the toolbar.
Yes, right at the very top. Okay, so how it's going to be, well, first you must customize the report the way you want it to display. Okay. course. DISPLY. Display, and then click memorize at the top of the reports window. Okay, so that's how you memorize report. Now, where can I locate my memorized reports once I memorized it? Where can I locate my memorized report so then one, I can recreate that report for the future?
I believe if you go to the reports menu, there's an option for memorized reports.
Reports menu. Let's take a look. Reports menu. Okay, good. You do have memorized reports there. Okay. Now, where can I actually see it? Because right now this is just a list. Where can I actually physically see it?
In your report center?
In your report center. So if I go to my report center, right, I can click memorize and I'll be able to get an actual overview to make sure that this is the correct one. So yes, you have both of those options, okay, to view it there. Okay, so let me go ahead and type that in there. Where you can locate it on the reports menu, right? Memorized reports, or you can go to reports center and then click memorized tab at top of report center. Good. Okay. So again, reports is the biggest section here because every single chapter has reports. So I would recommend you to go through every single chapter to understand what each report that the book tells you to go over. Okay? Let me see. Okay, so we're almost done here. So right now it is exactly 9:55. So let's go ahead and take our 15-minute break here. Okay, and then we'll come back and finish up the rest of this study guide and finish up the class, okay?